the reason why I'm trying to make the correlation is because I just typically will study history and look at all the different levels of things that are going on simultaneously, and I just have the presumption that they must be connected somehow for them to be going on at the same time. It's just a really basic theory. So moving on just to the people's aspect, and I want to focus on Egypt because I've been there. I have an interest in the region. It's connected with the Middle East, or it is a part of the Middle East, and I think it's crucial to understand so that we can get a feeling, get a grasp of what's going on in the global situation. I call it a global crisis that we're in. This is a horrible global crisis, and we need to understand all the components as we move along in order to have a solution. Without understanding, we can't possibly face it or do anything to change it. Egypt has been going through a lot of changes. Whether they're good or bad, that remains to be seen because it's still in process. They seem to be playing musical chairs because you went from back in the 70s and 80s until his assassination. You had Anwar Sadat, who brought in the Israeli-Egypt peace accord, and Israel was Menachem Begin, and this was supervised by the Western powers, and especially the United States. And when you have the assassination of Sadat, and then you move into this later phase, you see that it's a change that the Egyptians had to go through in looking at this peace treaty and their position in the Middle East. So you come up to Mubarak, who less than 2 years ago was getting into a very bad position, and he was not popular anymore. He was a subject of all the Egyptian dissatisfaction. The revolt happened, all the protests, which are under the general scheme that they see of an Arab Spring. So Mubarak was removed, and now you have Mohamed Morsi. Morsi now has become even less popular than Mubarak. So what is going on with this? The Egyptians and those people that are connected with them, that are obviously going to be looking at this in terms of having to have an opinion because they're regional, they're neighbors. All of these people are thinking in terms of the relationship between the government and the masses, the nation itself, the people. So if there's no consent to be governed, then there's going to be changes. So what exactly do they want? They're saying that Morsi is caving in to terrorists, or that he's a terrorist himself. This is the rage now against the Muslim Brotherhood, because as you should know, that the game changing that's been going on with the Arab Spring has put more power into the hands of this Muslim Brotherhood, which is something that apparently the United States is aligned with. So the present U.S. regime, or Obama administration, seems to be backing this horse. Whether they preempted it as a preemptive strike against Mubarak, I don't know. I really can't get into that side of it right now. There's always a possibility, because the United States is very sophisticated and can mastermind such things. They have their own ulterior objectives, usually greedy ones at that, greedy plans. So, I'm not saying anything that's unusual. This should be known. If you're an observer in this or a player, this is just standard knowledge. Now, how the United States is taking Morsi, if they want to foster pro-U.S. or pro-Western UK and France included, these relations, then they've really made a blunder here, because the Egyptian people are fed up. Now, let's go back to where they're dissatisfied with the dealings with terrorists. The Egyptian people feel that there are extremist elements that they don't want to deal with, that they want pushed out, that they want security from, or security against these elements. And these are jihadists, or these are maybe Al-Qaeda cells, maybe also people are putting the blame on the Palestinians that are in the Gaza Strip, which is just north of the Nile Delta. So that's very close. They're bordering that, and they have closed off, or they did, and maybe they're letting a little bit of traffic to go there. But some of it is scapegoating the Palestinians. The Palestinians don't appreciate that. I don't think that anyone really knows who's fomenting this idea. But even the Palestinians are saying Mubarak was bad for us, but now Morsi is even worse. So not only have the Egyptians and the Palestinians coming out against Morsi, and this phase of the last year has got to go. And by the way, I should have mentioned this, I'll put it in the title, but there's a deadline. Tomorrow evening, the people have demanded, and there's several million strong, or I've heard his figures upwards of 22 million on signing a petition to get rid of Morsi. They're not going to deal with them at all. It's just, that's it. There's no negotiations. They have decided, and it's a people's coup d'etat. It's a revolution. It's a rebellion. It is the fact that they have to have their demands met, or there's going to be civil war. It's going to be a chaotic civil war. It's not going to be pretty. It's already very ugly right now in the streets. It's not a safe situation. But of course, when you're in the midst of it, in the heat of the moment, you're going to be slugging left and right, because you know you stand for something. So my heart goes out to the Egyptian people. I just think they need to have a plan. So this plan so far seems to be something to go with. They are saying, and this, as of my time right now, this is way less than 24 hours to go. Even probably in about 16 hours or so, this is going to be decided. Because right now, Egypt is in the middle of the night. What time is it over there? Looks like, because there's like a 7, 8, 9 hour difference from North America. So basically, they're going to be getting up in a few hours. They're going to be gearing up. They're going to be out in the streets. They're going to be making sure that change happens. And by the time that dinner's coming and the sun's going to be setting, Morsi has to go. So I don't even know where he is right now. Supposedly they're getting more security in, trying to secure and protect themselves. They're fighting back. People are being killed. Some people have been injured and gone into hospitals. A lot of the fighting was around the Muslim Brotherhood headquarters in Cairo. Now, this is going to spread, folks, because I can tell you right now, the Egyptian people, all of them in the streets, have been listening in and watching what's going on in Turkey, okay? The Turks have settled down a little bit. I don't know where that's going. I'll have to do a research and possibly do another vlog, but they wanted their guy to go, who is not their guy anymore. They're dissatisfied with their leader and that regime, and I don't know where it stands right now, but they are still protesting, so that's not over by a long shot. And then the Egyptians have been watching this. I guarantee you, also, the Egyptians have been seeing what's going on in Brazil. Brazil is also going to be looking at Egypt. Brazil is out millions strong in the streets. They want the president to go there. Dilma. President Dilma, that regime needs to go. I would tell you right now, if the people are not going to be appeased and there's not major changes and proof in the pudding, there ain't going to be no World Cup, there ain't going to be no Olympics come whatever year it is, 2016 or 2014? No, 2016. They ain't going to be building that stuff. They ain't going to settle for the oligarchy and, you know, specialized deals for, and then the people get nothing. That's nonsense. Look, the United States is going to have to factor into all this, okay? As I said, Obama regime, unfortunately, they're having to face musical chairs. Unfortunately, they were backing the wrong horse. Unfortunately, look at it this way. If the Obama regime doesn't want Morsi, then they could have manipulated this situation to get Morsi out of there, just like they did in many other places. Other places are a little tight-knit and stuff. There's some unique situations which you really can't mix and match here. I mean, you know, Yemen's very different. Syria is absolutely different, and we see what's going on there. But with the United States with its hands into Syria, then you've got Egypt going on, and maybe that's not such a vested interest. But here we go to the most important part of this, really, that I saved the best for last. Egyptian relations with Israel, you see. Because we've already said that the relations are strained and gone sour with the Palestinians, especially in the section of the Gaza. Because the Egyptians, you know, have to deal with this in a fair manner, but they also can't trust it because they think that some of the terrorism that's going on is coming through the Palestinians. But the Palestinians are like, hey, you know, we don't know that. You know, we're not doing this. We could have parasitical elements here. You know, this is not necessarily Hamas based. You know, we don't know. This could be like, this could be the United States. You know, that's what they're saying. This could be United States developing these terrorist cells. So here's the thing. We talked about Gaza, the region there, just north of the Nile Delta. Now we got to talk about a little bit further down, going towards Saudi Arabia. But in the middle of all that is the Sinai, or the Sinai is how it's pronounced in the West. The Sinai Peninsula is this huge region. It's huge. It's famous for supposedly being the place that Moses went and there was a mountain, and that's where the Ten Commandments are from. But this is ancient history. Today, the Sinai has been the object of a struggle, a humongous military struggle, and a political, cultural struggle between Egypt and Israel. Okay, in 1967, the Egyptians will remember well that Israel took over the Sinai and collapsed the Egyptian defensive forces there in June of 1967. Okay, so this is well in the minds and the memories of the Egyptians to say, you know, Morsi is dealing the wrong way with the terrorists, negotiating with terrorists, catering to terrorists, maybe he is a terrorist, and they have to come up with a plan of how to deal with that and also at the same time deal with the Israelis. Because what they fear is the Israelis coming back in and taking advantage of their weakness. Because right now, I'll tell you right now, Egypt is weak. If they have a civil war, it can be easy pickings. I mean, sometimes this happens. Sometimes other nations don't take advantage of that. But they could be easy pickings now, and they know that. Because you're going to have a civil war. So somebody's going to back one side, another person's going to back another side. That's what's going to happen. So what is Israel doing? I'm not really going to get into that right now because that's a whole other video. But the Egyptians are worried as they're doing this. I mean, they're not worried, Obviously, you can see they're in action mode now. They're in kick-ass mode. But as far as they have a concern as to when they make changes, how it's going to stand with Israel. Some of them are thinking, well, let's do business with Israel. Maybe we can coordinate with Israel to patrol into the Sinai, but at the same time, they don't want Israel coming in and interfering with their sovereignty. Maybe they can do joint military operations. So the Egyptians are totally, right now, all about revamping the military. In fact, I want to tell you that the main force in the military is pro-people right now. This is a military junta, in a way. This is the military's back in this. You could not see this massive force unless you get the main faction of the military on your side against the hardline central government, the politicians. So the military wants some changes to benefit itself, but also to benefit the people. There's a partnership going on there. So this is a true military revolution. People are hitting the streets knowing that they're with the military. Now, the military needs to know that once they get a new government in there, they're going to have a clear stance or a clear message that they're going to convey to Israel. I believe the talks have already have to be going on, or if anything, the Israelis are not stupid. Okay, the Israelis are hardcore over in that area, and I hate to say they probably behind a lot of the manipulations that a lot of it can't be proven. People are always anti-Zionist. You know that I really can't say that, you know, that's absolute, but I can say that I've done research and find that there's quite a bit of possibility there. So the Israelis are already onto this. They're looking very carefully across their border. They do not want their people going into Sinai anymore. In fact, I would gander to say that almost all Israeli traffic or business or tourism or travel, anything into Egypt, crossing that border into Sinai, or down into Cairo and down Sharm el-Sheikh and all that stuff down into there, it ain't happening. It's done. As of this year, it's done until Egypt stabilizes. Now, is it going to happen real soon, now that we're into the summer? A new Arab summer? I don't know. This could take the rest of the year. Could possibly take longer. If it goes out into an all-out shooting match, you're going to see some heads roll, and you're going to see some major restructuring. Look at Syria, even. Okay, the Egyptians are also aware of Syria, what's happening there. If they do not get together and settle their differences, we're going to see another Syria and Egypt. So it's not too far-fetched to see. So let's, gosh, that was a long talk, but as I said, this is a very complex thing that's going on, and we'll see whether they get Morsi out of there. He has to go within 24 hours. I'm going to do a follow-up. Thanks for listening. Make your comments, favorite, send it out to your friends. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks.